Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yael and today I want to talk to you about the third eye in the Bible. I will cover everything from the creation of the first man to the flood generation, what happened after the flood, how the third eye actually closed after the flood, until the point where the Israelites were given the 10 Commandments, what happened there exactly. I will cover also the third eye in the tree of life, the tree of Sefirot, where it's located, what it means. And finally, I'll give you tools to see if your third eye is open or blocked and techniques how to open it. So let's begin. So let's start with the first man who was created, which was Adam. And if you watched my previous videos, I talked about the fact that Adam named everything in creation. God talked to Adam and asked him, "What is this?" And he said, "This is a whale." And he gave the whale a name. That name in Hebrew, the letters are actually showing something of that creature's substance. So in Kabbalah, we believe that the letters are an energetical symbol of the thing itself. My point is, he was very connected. He was connected to all things. He was connected to God. He knew a lot of truth. But after him and Eve ate from the tree of Da'at, you remember the story with the snake, I'm not going to go over this. It says, and their eyes were opened. That actually means that their physical eyes got opened. And that means that they were more affected by their physical eyes rather than their third eye. Okay, so it doesn't say that their third eye was closed, but only that their physical eyes were opened. Okay, so after their eyes were open, but still their third eye was open too, they started multiplying and the population started growing. And moving forward, let's go to the generation of the flood. So this generation was very interesting. First of all, it says that they were very advanced. They got to levels of science that even our science can't reach yet. Levels that they could have like cloud generators, like physical clouds in the sky, a cloud dissolver. It was said that they used 100% of their brain, which by science we use about 5 to 10% of our brain. So that means they were very, very, very intelligent. They were very connected to God and to nature. They were also said to be very tall. So in that generation, an average would be like a 5-meter tall person, up to 50 meters, and some were like way above that. And also they had the ability, of course, to see the unseen world. So they could see demons and fight demons and things that, let's say, shamans these days claim to see. They could see naturally without even trying to do that. So let's say they would see an entity trying to attack them. They could fight it and move on with their day, basically. But there was an issue with that generation of the flood where even though they were so intelligent and they could hear God speak to them, they had a lot of lust for things, okay? And they knew that they shouldn't be doing things, yet they kept on doing things that harmed them as a community, as a family unit, and it became very chaotic. And out of this population, there was only one man named Noah. We say in Hebrew Noach, and God saw him as a sort of saint, as a tzaddik, as a really good person who he liked a lot. And then he told Noach to build an ark and put all the animals in the ark. I mean, some say it was just 2, like 1 pair of each. Some say it was more. But anyway, the idea was he wanted to save the animals and humans. And Noah built the ark, and then the flood came. And the flood lasted for 40 days. And they say that the reason it was 40 days, it was because God wanted to really destroy all the people that were sinners in his eyes. And for 40 days, that was the amount of time needed till they die. So basically, after the flood, it's mentioned that there was seen a rainbow in the sky, and before the flood there was no rainbow. So basically what happened after the flood is that the air changed. The type of density in the air was different, and that affected human beings from that point on and closed the third eye. Everything from that moment started to change with us as humans. We started to have smaller bodies because of the type of air. Basically, what started to happen is that when we are born, although we are growing, we are also dying at the same time. And also, there were changes with our sperm and eggs. So the sperm count was different before the flood and after the flood. These days we have many little swimmers, and back then it was much less than now. So it was more of a focused energy that created big humans with a very impressive ability to operate their brain. Not all people after the flood completely had their third eye open, and it's not even true to this day. Some people are born actually with this ability open, some work towards it, but it became a mix, okay? If before that it was a common thing, after the flood it was only rare. So moving on, after Noah's time, I don't know if you know this, but they would also start eating meat. And when God created the first man, Adam, he told him to eat the fruit of the land and the herb of the ground, and that's it. And after the flood, he told Noah that it's okay to eat meat. I guess it might have been connected to the fact that the land just didn't have a lot of greenery because of the flood. But also this might have affected us as humans in some way and our abilities in some way. So after the flood, they started building families, and I'm also moving forward to the time that the sons of Jacob went to Egypt and became slaves. So basically this idea is that they wanted to repent, they wanted to pay for the sins of the generation of the flood. And when they became slaves in Egypt, they started forming a new connection with God. And by that, they started developing again their spiritual abilities. So as a whole, as a nation moving through the desert, escaping slavery with Moses' direction, they started developing their spiritual abilities. And it is said in the Bible, at some point, as a group, they could all see the voices. And that means that they had an ability to see what God is transmitting to all of them together. But again, that didn't last long because there was the sin of the calf, the golden calf, and that sin closed again the Israelites' ability and disturbed their connection with God. So basically, this covers the stories in the Bible and the third eye. Now I will go to direct mentions, that is not as a whole. King Solomon, who was the wisest man alive, said the wise man has his eyes in his head. He understood that seeing through our third eye means that we're very intelligent. Now, there is a space inside of our head, somewhere around here. I'm not a researcher, I'm not a scientist, but I know it exists, that we have a sort of gap, okay? We have a sort of empty space in our head. And according to Judaism, they say that is where the soul lives. And the third eye is connected to our soul. So if you saw a lot of Jewish religious people place the Tefillin, it's a little black box. When they do a prayer in the morning, there's a little black box that has inside prayer too. They wrap it around their head, around the third eye, and that is because they acknowledge that that space is a very holy and sacred space, and they want to connect their soul connection to God through doing that. Next, there is a holiday in Judaism, and I hope you will find this as fascinating as I find it. Even if you're not Jewish, try to follow through because it has a really important thing about the third eye. Basically, this holiday happens around September, October each year, and we are supposed to eat and sleep in a tent, a sort of tent we build in the backyard. It's called the Sukkot, this holiday. And one of the commandments, one of the good deeds that we're supposed to do in this holiday is shake the 4 species, okay? So there are 4 species mentioned in the Bible, I think in Leviticus. I'm adding in the description box everything that I'm quoting from, so just scroll and see. There are 4 species that you're supposed to have them like really, really nicely made and grown, everything. You bring them into your tent and you rock them as part of the ceremony each day of this holiday. So these 4 species represents 4 parts of us, okay? 1 represents the spine, 1 represents our lips, okay? 2 lips to notice what we're saying. 1 represents our eye, and here's the catch. It has 3, okay? So 3 eyes. So in this holiday, it is very apparent that in Judaism, there is a strong belief that every human being has 3 eyes. The last one, which is a fruit, that is referring to the sexual organ of the man, and it can also refer to his heart, okay? So for those of you who are interested in the herb that represents the 3rd eye, in Hebrew it's called hadassim, hadas, and in English it's myrtle, and the idea is that you're supposed to have 3 of 3 of 3, okay? So in the branch, there's supposed to be 3 leaves spiraling around the branch, and then you have 3 branches of that species. And then, for example, you have another one for the lips, a willow. You have 2 of them to represent 2 lips. And then you have etrog, which is sort of a citrus fruit, which represents the genitals. And then you have lulav, which is a part of a palm tree, a date palm tree, which represents the spine. So here's evidence of the belief in the 3rd eye as well, and the type of leaf that is belonging to myrtle, belonging to the hadas, looks actually like an eye. Moving on to the Tree of Life, all the Kabbalistic information, and the book of Yetzirah, which Abraham wrote. So Abraham is also referred to as a man who had his 3rd eye open. He wanted to break down the levels of creation. Okay, so that's what we study in the Tree of Life, the 10 levels of creation. But he also broke down other things. Okay, so in Kabbalah, we believe that there is more than just 5 senses. Okay, there are actually 12 senses. And even though some things might sound weird, okay, they are associated to astrological signs, to times of year, and each sense is important to us as humans. So we know as a society that we have seeing, smelling, touching, tasting, hearing, right? 5 senses. And what Judaism adds to it is senses like sleeping, anger, walking or moving, and all sorts of other senses, which if you're interested, write me in the comment box and I can do a video about it. But let's focus on eyesight, eyes, okay? The 3rd eye and eyes. So it is associated with the astrological sign of Cancer and with the month of Tammuz. It happens every year around July, but it changes according to the moon. And also the rabbi said that from the 3rd of Tammuz, again 3 of Tammuz, we should open our 3rd eye. Okay, so that's a very important time to work on this ability of ours. Each sense in the Bible is also associated with a tribe. There are 12 tribes, and for the sense of seeing, the tribe of Reuben is associated to. Now let's look at the Tree of Life together. So as you remember, there are the 3 upper ones, okay, the 3 upper sfirot, which is Keter, Chokhmah, and Binah. And the eyesight, the ability to see, is connected to Chokhmah. So as we know, the world is created from the upper to the lower, and this ability to have a vision, okay, to see in our eyes where we are heading, where we want to go, is part of the process of every creation, right? It's very common sense when you think about it. When you create something, okay, you probably think, you have an image of your mind, what you want this thing to look like. Okay? People sometimes use vision boards. And this chokhmah is like the wisdom, that's what it means. Chokhmah is wisdom. Chokhmah is the wisdom to understand what we want. Okay, so this is number 1. What do we want? Okay, Bina is taking that thing that we want in our eyes and knowing how to apply it to our life, okay? So practical things, how to use our vision in a practical way and how to adapt it to our personal situation. And then we have a hidden sphere, a hidden sphera that's called Da'at. If you're studying the tree, you probably know about it. But Da'at is the repetition of the vision. And that is very important when we're talking about the third eye, because the problem where we have a brain that is always distracted causes a lack of focus. And a person that has an open third eye has an amazing ability to focus on what he or she wants, or to focus on an object and get information, not to be distracted. And by repeating your vision, repeating what you want in your brain, you're bringing a new thought to your repetitive mind, okay? So they say that 95% of our thoughts are actually repetitive. And when we start to control that, when we are able to stop thoughts that are repetitive, we start seeing things for what they are. And practices of focus on new things and having the ability to concentrate really helps stopping the repetition of the same thoughts, which blocks our ability to see things as they are. Okay, so now I'm going to move to a few tips and tricks of seeing if your third eye is open or blocked, and a few ways to open it. So let's go for it. Let's start with a blocked third eye. Here are things that will show you if your third eye is blocked. If your ability to focus is very low, if you're nervous, if you're cynical. Okay, so they say that our brain is only able to focus on something really strongly for just 6 seconds. Now, if you look at the news, if you even look sometimes on YouTube, they use that information to change frames every few seconds, because that is how our focus works. Okay, so things like flickering TV, using a lot of the Instagram, the internet, all of that is blocking our third eye, because it makes our brain like it can't focus more than 6 seconds. Also, if you're involved with things like boring activities that don't interest you, anything that is boring your brain and doesn't make you want to focus will lessen the strength of your third eye. There is research showing that sugar, coffee, and even marijuana blocks our third eye. Marijuana is because it hurts your memory, and a person with an open third eye has amazing memory. So a person with an open third eye has the ability to see through things, has an X-ray vision, and also doesn't search for the external world for any information but the internal world. Okay, so there is like an inner vision, always looking to the inside, having the ability to see what this thing is for me. When you see in interaction any human, you can see through things. A person with an open third eye has a great memory, ability to give good attention, to feel others. Things that help to open the third eye is using sound vibration, any kind of meditation, yoga, practices of focus. Let's say if you take an object and focus on it for a few minutes and then close your eyes and try to see that thing in detail and work on that for 20 minutes each day, opens your third eye dramatically. Also, there is I think in Buddhism or Hinduism, an exercise where you close your eyes and you focus them and you look towards your third eye, giving attention to that space. Also, another thing that helps to open the third eye is studying something that interests you. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please write in the comments. I always love reading your comments, and I really hope that we all will start noticing how much we assist in opening our third eye and blocking it. Notice that a lot of our modern world is designed to block it. So let's build ourselves in a new way, and let's build a new generation that will be more awake and have its third eye open. Thank you so much. Bye.